I'd like to invite us to consider the practice of metta without so much self-occupation in it, without self-preoccupation. So I'll say a few words to set the frame, and then I will lead us into meditation so we explore it together and see what kind of flavors come up, what we discover. So when we care, when we have metta, love, kindness, different nuances of metta, the word metta, loving kindness, friendliness, etc. A lot of times there is a sense of preoccupation, self-preoccupation that can still be in there, either in the relationship or in the moment. So there could be a sense of, oh, I like you, I wish you well. There's just, there could be some attachment in it. There's the self involved. Maybe it's conditional care. Oh, may you be well. I love you so that you will love me back, so that you will think that I'm worthy and I'm nice and I'm kind. And, there might be just nuances. It may not be too overt, but there might be nuances of the self being entangled in there. Like, oh, I am wishing you well. What a wonderful practitioner I am, human being I am, wishing you. There could be different nuances, flavors of the self kind of butting in instead of just pure care, love without the self concern. Those are some ways it can show up. It can also show up in the way of in the moment of practice that, oh, I'm too tired, or this is too hard for me, or I'm having too many emotions, or my mind is not stable enough, or right? Just different nuances, flavors of self occupation, preoccupation can come in. And I'm kind of making light of it a little bit, making a caricature of it just to kind of point out. It may not be that gross, but might be more subtle, Again, it's doesn't make you a bad person or a bad Buddhist or a bad practitioner. It's just interesting to notice, right? Because we cultivate awareness, we cultivate mindfulness so that we're aware of what's happening. And the invitation tonight, as I'll guide us through it, is what if it's not about me? It's not about us. What if it's not about me? About this being the self of mine? What if it's not about me at all? What if it's just an expression of love, expression of care, expression of goodwill, regardless of what I get out of this, regardless whether I become happier out of this during happy hour, regardless of what you will think of me or our relationship, or regardless of any of that, just sitting, landing, being in goodness, kindness, and letting it radiate from nowhere. Could be through you, or just is. You're reflecting it, perhaps. You're like a mirror that maybe reflects the kindness from the universe, and you reflect it back. And the mirror is just reflective. It's not like, oh, look at me, I'm a mirror. And like it doesn't absorb, it doesn't kind of color the light. It just reflects it just without showing up too much. So we'll play with different metaphors. And just to bring one other consideration in is for those practitioners who like the practice or have been practicing for a while and perhaps are familiar, curious with the concept in Buddhism practicing not self. It's not personal. It's not personal. This is one way that the practice of metta, cultivating goodwill, can really merge with the practice of anatta, not self, or shunyata, emptiness, where there isn't really so much about us. This entanglement is just love flowing out of emptiness. So